Can you just give me an emoji if you can hear me? If you can hear me loud and clear, can you just give me an emoji? If you can hear me loud and clear, can I have any comment or any signs to let me know that I'm coming live and clear? Can I have any signs to know if I'm coming loud and clear? I'm not sure if I'm coming loud and clear. I can't see any comments. I'm using my phone. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Hello? Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Okay. Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon, it's me, Suleiman Ben Swai. Today is the 1st of June 2021. And the time is just gone about 24 minutes past 4 in in Birmingham, England. Unfortunately, I'm using my phone. I was having a technical problem with my laptop, but I am not seeing any comments. I don't know because of it's on landscape or not, but I will just have a brief conversation. And as I stated on my Facebook feed, this conversation is about the evidence that have come to light of things that we have raised before, or as I said, what I have raised before. But those things have been raised in other quarters as well. But to be specific, I will point to what I have actually raised and what the evidences are. But the importance of this conversation is for us to take things seriously. Because as I said, it is posing a threat to our national security. Because it's posing a threat to undermine our democracy. And the democracy is the foundation that we base our governance in order to ensure the security, peace, and stability of that country. Then if that democracy is undermined, that means that our national security is undermined. Before going further, I will have to say this again. And this is for the benefit of people that don't know me or that have not followed me from previous times or for a longer period. I am coming here to speak as an independent person. I am not coming here to speak as a speculator or just as an activist. This is the area of my expertise. National security is my area of expertise. And I am not someone who goes around to be alarmist or anything. Some of the things I might say might be alarmist to some, but they are always based on facts. at times people might not people 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 might not understand where the information comes from, or they cannot understand the information itself due to the nature of the information. I try my all best to give as much as possible. And again, what I give have to be measured for many reasons, for security reasons, for other operational reasons. This is the reason why some of the information might come out the way it does. And again, the information comes out strategically for a purpose. So that we can cover what we do and to make sure we maximize the impact we have in order to get more resources from that information to develop. What am I going to talk about today? What am I going to talk about today is what undermines our democracy and why is that serious. As I said, our governance is based on democracy, where we have to go to elections, where the elections are run by institutions, where as citizens we participate, and we participate in forms of our private individuals or be part of groups, be civil society or be political parties. And why do we do this? Because we believe, as history have, as evidence have, democracy might not be the best, but so far it's the best system that we have to determine the will of the people. Then the threat here is, if we live in the conditions that we do, we live in a very insecure situation, and the evidence of that is the presence of economic in the country. There are so many security threats. These security threats are the priority or the more likely are not of external nature, they are of internal nature. And the failures, and this other threat is here. We're coming out of a dictatorship. We were meant to be in a transition. What that means is we need to reform the institutions that had entrenched the dictatorship, and bring out institutions that are functional in the democracy, that people have confidence in, that would deliver the mandate bestowed to them by the citizens, but that have completely failed. Where are we now? We are in a very distorted environment. In a sense, we are in a democracy. In a sense, we are out of a dictatorship. But the people, the mindset of the people have not been dealt with to move away from the mindset of people who were captive in a dictatorship. The institutions that operate have not been reformed, that operate in the dictatorship have not been reformed to be capable of operating effectively in a democracy. And the failure, the major failure here too, is the governance. The politics have failed of the reforms that we needed for democratization, reform that we needed in order to move on, to build on our democracy, which means to consolidate on the gains we have in the reforms and the governance, and finally to go to a test again to the people to demand their mandate to ensure we have a free and fair elections and elect a leader. And that's why it was very important in the transition to have an independent president, who the executive that would not be running for elections, because in order to have that level playing field. But we failed to have that. Now this is the situation we're dealing with. But it's the responsibility of every citizen, as is the responsibility of stakeholders, to make sure we ensure security, we ensure peace and stability of that country. That's why we should be very, very responsible on the messages we give and how we give these messages. We try to construct them right. I know it's a social media platform, and but we have to have a reason to post something, and that reason should be to create a greater good, to engage, to alert in a manner. But again, let's always remember we still have official channels that certain things can be put through. Yes, we have the right, and it can be very effective to agitate certain things on social media, but we have to measure the agitation and to make sure too we don't leave it to agitation alone. We have to find ways and means to project this into the systems, people, to the stakeholders who are responsible in order to avert any problems, to ensure that security is maintained and peace and stability would take us to the election. The political parties have a greater role, just as the civil society have a greater role. Citizens have that greater role as well. Depends on our capacity as citizens, depend on our capacity as civil society, depend on our capacity as political parties. But political parties, not only our capacity, but we have a mandate that we ask our people. That's why the political parties go on to pay that much money and register to meet all the demands, to be officially recognized to function. They owe us to the Gambian people to continue to do the right thing, to ensure these elections are free and fair. And it's very important now, not later. Elections are rarely stolen on election day. It's always before the process that leads to the elections, and especially during the registration. And the registration, the laws and policies that governs the political parties and registration and the process of elections are all very clear. And then we expect the stakeholders, we expect citizens to use those laws to make sure these things are dealt with. And the other part is, the evidence, as I said, is I talked about the problems that Barrow is facing. And as I said, if Barrow faces a problem, Gambia faces a problem. You see, that's why when we agitate, the president continues sleeping in gatherings and stuff like that. It's because it's not personal, but it's because of the office that he occupied. In many gatherings, people go and sleep. Nobody bothers them because they are ordinary citizens or something else, but not people that we expect to be alert, to be engaged, people that we expect to be healthy, to be in sound mind, and because of the mandate we give them, or to deliver. But as we said, we have opportunities in our society, and this is what led us to the dictatorship. Gambia, we started at the right footing when we had our independence, asked for independence, negotiated for independence, and decided at that time, when it was not even fashionable to go for a multi-party democracy system. It was more fashionable to go for a one-party system, as we have seen in other parts of Africa that had independence before. But as a small nation, we believed in ourselves, and we declared our stand to be on our people. And our people asked for the diverse people. That means inclusive of every tribe, gender, race, race and religion and creed. That was the trend we have. But down the line, we failed, and we failed for one reason, because of opportunism. That opportunism created incompetency, and in turn, we translate to corruption. And that corruption undermines our democracy. That corruption undermines our values and the people we are, and end up to lead us to the 22 dark years that we have lived. And we supposed to be coming out of those dark years, but we are continuing to in that part. The little respite we had, people have hijacked again and continued. And this is the hijacking I was talking about. If people can remember, around 4th April, I made a post, highlighted post, to explain that the Minister of Finance, Bambo Ndiaye, the Governor of Central Bank, Bua Sedi, the Director General of the Tax Revenue, GRA, Yankuba Dabo, were meeting at the Central Bank in order to look at possibilities to provide finances to government for the political projects that they embark on. And if people can remember, the likes of Sirisane, the likes of Nyangjai, the likes of a lot of other people, Shedili and others have raised this alarm of the amount of borrowing. The domestic, because of now we cannot access external borrowing. Now we're going to domestic markets to borrow. And it's not based on strategic development, it's based on a political project. It's all about the interests of Barrow and the cabal around Barrow. It was not only for national development, for anything else. This is the same way the infrastructure development that the IJMA embarked on and wrecked the economy more. To where we find ourselves. And all why do they get into this is for their own good. It's not for the common good, for their own pockets. I made that thing, and we have discussed that before. When they came out to say they're going to build roads, they're going to do this, they're going to do this, and we are not going to rely on external funding to do it, we are going to do it ourselves. We said, that's crazy. We don't have the money to do that. We have other priorities. We could have. It's important to have these things, but we have to do it right. But they don't care about this. It's all they care about is their personal interests, and where the personal interests are. Barrow to be a president, and to continue to accumulate wealth by being corrupt. Mambu Njai, Bailamin Job, GRA Dabo, Yankuba Dabo, and others. They don't care. All they want is, they don't care about even Barrow or Gambia. All they care about is to wealth, more wealth, accumulate more wealth. And this is where we find ourselves. Evidence have come out. Now, from the 4th of April, I said this. And I said they have not finalized how they're going to do this. They are looking at ways to do this. Now they have emptied the coffers of the central bank, what a central bank was allowed or able to do, to use money to lend government, have been exploited. And we still don't even know how much they have gone again to Social Security, as Jammeh did before. We have alerted Gambians because we don't have the capacity to follow them everywhere. But we expect Gambians who are in these areas would be proactive in doing their citizens' duties and safeguard the interests of the people. I cannot go to Social Security right now because it needs all the details to talk about. But we know for certain, and the evidence is out there, that central bank cannot have no liquid again to support the government projects. By lending to the state. What is happening now? They agreed on the the commercial banks to lend to government, again for their political projects. And we have seen the directives coming out from the GRA trying to squeeze milk from stone, trying to get more revenue from the small and medium businesses. The big businesses are not paying their tax as they should. Tax are not collected as they should. 2, the corruption in GRA is ensuring that most of the tax collected are shared within people in the cabal. And Barrow is part of those people that have their share from GRA. Now these people have created a situation, and we talked about it, and it's here. Now it's up to Gambians. The opportunity we have, why we have democracy, is that we have the possibility of changing these people for something better. And it's up to us. I don't belong to any political party. And I can tell you the elections are still open. It's up to Gambians who they vote for. It's about how political parties constitute themselves, how effective they are to get to, the people to vote for them. What I am doing to empower the democracy so that we have security, peace, and stability, and people would have a little bit of awareness, part of my contribution, and then the greater good can happen by Gambians going to the polling station in a free and fair elections and make an informed decision based on what have been campaigned during the process. That side of it has been done. Why is this dangerous? In any country that this thing happens, the country collapses. And the country collapses, it becomes unrest. And I said we have taken time bombs. There we have youths, how many thousands of Gambian youths every year would drop out from schools and would not have any hope or opportunity to do anything. They cannot have continued education. Regardless how brilliant they are, it's only a minority that would have the opportunity because of their background or be lucky to have a continuity of education or to get into gainful employment. The majority would be, hanging around, and we all know what youths do when they are idle and they indulge into areas because we don't have any sanitized environment for youths to grow. And because of the amount of imported drugs and the failure of security reforms and everything else compounded the problems now, that's the ticking time bomb. But another ticking time bomb is the lack of reform in the security sector. In many, you can look at it in many areas, that too is a ticking time bomb. This is what happened. It happened in Greece when they had the Olympics. They spent a lot of money. End up their bankrupt. It happened in Italy. It happened in many countries. And it happens in many African countries. That's why we don't develop, because of they don't follow any set of priorities for the greater good. All they do is for themselves. Now, the other part of the same issue I raised is about their interest. You know, that's the financial side. They said to Barrow that as the incumbent, you win elections, or you have an incumbent advantage, and you have to do what development projects. That's what they call development projects. And we all had them, the so-called technocrats, saying that this is a politics of development, because they're going to build roads and bridges. These technocrats are all these technocrats talking about this incompetent and corrupt, because they benefit from these projects. And they will say anything for that these projects will go through. We had them say this. They made Barrow believe that being an incumbent, you have an advantage. The other thing, you do projects. Now, these are the people, the technocrats in the Minister of Works, the Finance, the GRA, the Revenue Authority and others. These are the people making him believe that the money can be raised, this thing can be paid for, and this thing will be delivered. But another interest is the kickbacks. They all have kickbacks in these contracts, all these contracts going on with the banyan projects and other projects we have seen. We have seen the roads built in KMC and other areas. It's all based on kickbacks. And we all know, and since the evidence, people that know these people have seen the differences in their life from when they joined government and where they are today, regardless where they were before, whether they've been international civil servants or whatever, but their lives have been transformed now due to the corruption they've been involved in. I'm using these people particularly because the length of corruption is just huge in the country. And now the other part is the political. People saying that you have that powerful incumbency. I have made programs to in fact expose the silliness of this argument. That time have changed. And we have seen The factors that were empowering to incumbency actually are no more present. But there are other factors that have that are present, that are of the that presents advantage to the alternative. I mean the opposition. Because let's look at this quickly. The days are gone where you have the incumbent monopolize the media, completely have control over the media. We have known those days. The days are gone where the influence to the local government, entirety of the local government, on the, that the people depend on, or do the transactions with the people directly. These are the people directly, the alcalos, the imamos, that have actually changed. The social influences have changed. These are facts. And I'll give you what the alternative of this are. Now we have social media. Social media is alternative. You all have seen where social media, due to social media change, have been accelerated to a speed that have never been seen. We have seen the Arab Spring. Even in the developed countries, where we see anti-establishment demonstration or movements have reached and impacted from the Wall Street to any other things, Black Lives Matters, and go on, count them, to the point of individuals, social influences, sports. I forgot the name of the gentleman, a mixed race gentleman in the British UK premiership, that have completely changed a government policy during the lockdown to for school feeding program. It's individual. Just forgot the name. A young gentleman from a very humble background become a football star. Use social media, Twitter, and galvanize support and change a whole that political parties do struggle to do. That tells you that the social influences have changed. And who are these people? Are young people, are independent people, are entrepreneurs, are sports, are artists, and other people. And they are not under the control of any single entity. They are more of free and independent to be influenced or use their influence to do things. Social media have given us the opportunity to sit down just right now. I would not have thought about this years ago. Now we have this opportunity. How many other platforms and other things? Who listen to Radio Gambia? Who listen to GRTS? Everything else. Even the TV stations get their feeds from social media. They get there, try to get into social media to have any influence. That's how this. And the youth population, Africa is a very youthful population, and we have seen the effect of that. We have seen it in the Arab Spring. We have seen it in all African countries where I can say, in fact, the reality is that incumbents have been losing elections. Let's just start from Senegal, Guinea-Bissau. Let's go on. Ghana. Let's go on. Nigeria. Let's go on. We can go on and go on and go on. All depends, is the leadership in the opposition, is the citizens, and what they do with their time and resources in order to impact change. But Barrow never got this. They make him believe. And now those people, in fact, too, they were doing it for their own interest. Because they know that it's only someone like Barrow, being in the position of the executive, would give them approximately to the executive in order, again, to give them opportunities that they could never have, because they have no capacity to access those opportunities. They, in an equal society, in a society that's based on meritocracy, these people would be struggling. But now they have to create a situation, an environment that is great for them to prosper. And these are the kind of people he listened to. And when we as you said these things, we warn him. You are being led into a cul-de-sac. You want to come out of that cul-de-sac, you'll be trapped. And these people, you never see once you are trapped. Once you are trapped. Give you an example of that. Where is Ahmad Ba? You see, I talked about this many times. I don't have time about it, but we all know what was this. When we talked about the environment they created for themselves, starting to pull apart, and they made their barrow and finalized it. We told them, you need competency. Even if you are to go alone or do other things, you need competent people to do that for you. You need people who are sophisticated to understand Gambian political history and understand the new dynamics. Things have changed. But these people have no education for that matter. I don't mean certification. They have zero influence. They have zero capacity. And now this is an opportunity for them to be wealthy. And that's what all they've been doing by using power, making him believe. Their mindset is backward. It's all about what the Marabu said, what my grandmother said, what somebody has said. Nothing is based on facts. Nothing is based on logic. Nothing is based on science. And they don't have integrity. They can look at you in the eye and lie, knowing that they're lying, to give you confidence that we've gone to Bakau, we've gone to Bondali, we've gone to Foni, we've gone to Basse, we do this, that this is what is happening. And bring people, bring your tribesmen and women, bring my tribesmen and women to visit you. You think we said, that is not the politics, that's not going to work. They didn't never listen. And the scam started, as we said, the scam started to unravel. We knew, but for some people, they have to see it to believe it. It started to unravel during the party lunch, something they've programmed for over a year. They never talk about the Congress because we know they don't have the capacity to do that, and it's more of a problem, hindrance to have a commission. Everything is run in different cells and plotting against each other. That's all it was. Money was dispersed. Again, I'll tell people to remember. As I said, when we talk about certain things, it might be strange to people, might be new to people, or they cannot even imagine this happened. But when Ben Sware, I said, come out to say about something, I'm not someone who runs just to break a news. It's based on facts. You might not. You don't expect the evidence for me to produce it, because most evidence is in my hand. I know where they are. And they'll come out, and they came out. When the SIS DJ, went to Saudi Arabia, I know the delegate he went with. Even the delegate did not know why So was part of their delegation. The delegation went for a legit program, official, legit program to Saudi Arabia. But there was a clandestine operation, Barrow and So and others were doing with the embassy in Riyadh. And they have not seen So until the day that we had to return. So came, and the private aircraft was loaded with boxes. Yes, a lot of money, lots of money. And part of that delegation, how did I know about these things? That's for me to keep. But for later, when they started to fall out, one of the delegates who was unofficial, someone alerted him to my expose, and he reached out to me, and he said, "Look, there's something in something that you said," because I was wondering. He said he was wondering himself why So was there and the disappearance and when So came. He said, "Yeah, I can tell you. I don't know what was in there, and you are right. He came in loaded boxes with some Arabs, and they put it in there. That's a secret service." You see, I don't have time to go into that. We do a publication, and we'll do something about that. Probably an effective government will do an investigation. That was the continuity of the Islamization of the Gambia. You see where Yaya Jammeh left it, these people took it because they know about, they have the institutional memory. They took it up until they want to make it for Barrow. And this was to continue these projects. And that's why you hear the mosque, 90 mosque or 100 mosque. That's why you see them build a mosque in NIA. That's why you see them build a mosque, they break that mosque in State House, build another one. That's why they have the NIA training center built in Banjul. That's why you have the NIA headquarters built in Basse. It was part of this money. And that's why certain relationship, I cannot go to certain things, but we know what we did in order to stop this. We could not stop the money. I have already been this thing, but we stopped this Islamization project. The presence of this Wahhabi Saudis, this thing, and trying to, in fact, wanting to use our soldiers to go and fight in Yemen. Everything else we know about, and we make a stop to it. It's all about this money. This money was again for other things that they to do. That was the money to entrench Barrow. What happened? A part of money was given to Barrow, and Barrow disbursed some of this money to certain people. I'm not going to give them relevance. I've been here to name them for them to have something to hold on to. He gave these people. That's where the Barrow Youth Movement started and everything else. But because of the money, all went, we don't hear the Barrow Youth Movement. Now, these political operatives that he have around him, and all these people giving money to start the operations to build a party. That's where the NPP went. It's all about, it's not about the belief or anything. It's about people that have no capacity or anything and just been given a lot of money, and now that money is for them. And you see the lifestyle from the women, how they change themselves and how they started to do other things too. You know what some people do, to do things with their rivals and win over and so on. But with the men, you know what most of us do. I mean, if we don't even marry the second one or third one, you know, we start our relationship. And when we start, we upgrade ourselves. We upgrade ourselves, and now even if we upgrade to a level. We punch so on top that these people don't even want to be seen with us. They don't want to be disassociated, but they make sure it goes. We upgrade our marabouts. The marabout we used to go to Serakunda, Banjul, Brufoots, Kaas, Hajang, others. No. We start to go to Mali, Guinea-Bissau, I bring them up thinking now the marabout would have to, will in fact protect me and upgrade me and open it up so that I can get more. This is the mindset they have. That's all they've been doing. And scamming about, going to bringing people. And other people. And they are different groups, different gaps. There's nothing to hold them together. There's no institutional discipline, no institutional structures, no capacity. No ideology. Only if they have is resource availability, but there's no resource management. You just imagine how sustainable a group like that would be. That's what the NPP was. Now, they went on. The money went. Right now, Barrow was seeking for money from Sow. Part of the money that he entrusted to Sow in the operations. Barrow took his a chunk and they disposed some of it, and obviously probably going to his private accounts in Senegal and other things. The other money that he thought there's still money left with Sow, it's not accounted for. Now, Sow is kind of avoiding Barrow, but not that he's scared of anything. No. This is the point, because the Barrow is so weak, and they all know each other, he can do nothing, nix about it. Until another government comes and do something, Barrow will not touch any of those. The people that he even angry with today to sack from the party, he can't. Because people like Dembo said to him, Mbake, because that our secrets will be out there. Our secrets will be out there. Now they try to dampen it. But you cannot forge that back. You cannot forge that back. That's why I wrote that post. If you find yourself deep down, you stop digging. Try to find how to rescue yourself. Don't expect the people that help you to dig yourself in a hole to take you out. But again, remember, if Barrow is in trouble, we are in trouble. Now, this is the situation. The money have evaporated. Everything have gone to personal spending, but nothing tangible have been done to maintain this thing. A structure have never been thought about, because they cannot build a structure, because it was an APRC group, a UDP group, Ahmad Ba and his group, a Banyun group. You know, there's different groups, interest groups, and they all have one thing in common. Everybody look after themselves. Yes, they will turn around to say that they're looking after their tribes or they're looking after their regions, which is not true. We know it's all about them and their families and their interests, but nothing to do with the national interests, not even Barrow's interests. Now they don't have a structure, they don't have nothing. And the lunch, it became evident. Because when they wanted to, rely on what they said they had to bring the force out, it didn't come out. And it came out that some of the people, they said that they retain paying monthly. Some of the influencers, they retain in different areas. They retain monthly, and this is the statistic they gave to Barrow. And this 500,000 they're talking about, that's how they base that 500,000 figure. People wondering, are these people mad to say that they have 500,000 members? Yes, they believe in the numbers, but there's no evidence to back the numbers. Ben Suara will come with said that in Bakau, I am paying someone called Aisatu, and Aisatu have 10,000 followers. The other in Burfoot this, in Bondali this, in Sanyang this, in Basse this, they compile all these numbers to make Barrow believe that Barrow have already won the elections. He have over 500,000. Now they said to Barrow, we are not going to fit anywhere apart from the stadium. But we know when the stadium arrived, day of the stadium arrived, how did they try to do that? The scams they played and other things, this last minute interventions that they did. The reason Maimuna Balde, Barrow thought Maimuna was even more credible, because Maimuna managed to bring some people around and host them in the hotel. Some of the premises they took, they cannot even use them because the money wasn't there. Then the last minute, we know, I don't have time to go in there how they brought these people. And that's why when the time they were going on, everybody left before Barrow even finished. And then the infighting started. Barrow started to ask for money to account for what is happening. And certain groups were called or had audience with Barrow to say, Barrow said, I spend this money. Those people said, we only have 250,000. And the amount for that project was $10 million. The certain person was given 10 million. What the group said came through them, 250,000. Barrow thought that if he gave to that individual 10 million, that 10 million was going to be spent on mobilizing, because they came out back and gave him figures, and that's why he thought he has 500,000 voter support. When that happened, we talk about all this evidence started to come out. They started infighting. When I break the news about the audio, that Ahmad Ba's audio, it was a recording actually. I don't want to go into the details, but people, yes, I know people always ask how did he get this thing? That's what I'm trained to do. The language used, some of the key words used. If Gambian knew, you'll be surprised. Some of them I cannot even repeat here. I cannot dare repeat them on air. Now, the infighting started. Ahmad Ba'an started blaming the others. We failed. You see, that's why, and this is where the conversation came out. Ahmad Ba talking to someone he trusts. within the NPP, a fraternity he thinks he has, not knowing that everybody is trying to get something to even climb, because these people they haven't got to the level yet. And he said something that he is not a fool. He's not something else. Now Barrow wants him to dissolve his party, to take his party into Barrow's party, to the NPP. When Barrow, he knows that Barrow cannot win an election. Even the 2016 narrow win, he said, because of was Barrow. Any better candidate would have won the area more. And he said, what he asked for, if that's not done, he is not going to dissolve his party. He's not a fool. What did he ask for? A vice president position. What did he ask for? The Minister of Tourism, he is going to elect or select the person to be appointed, his own, from his party or so-called party. Yes, tourism is lucrative. He doesn't want to leave the tourism. But for him, vice president is strategic. And because all these people, they are marabouts and mindset, Barrow's still scared of doing that. And with these audios and other things in the audio got to to Barrow. And Barrow went berserk. And who he calls always Dembo. Dembo Naja. Dembo came out. This is the problem. Play the audio and something else. I don't want to give that out. And Dembo said, let's find a way to keep this down. If this goes out, but it came out. Within 48 hours, some of us have access to it. Not to hear the audio, but we know the presence of the audio and the content of the audio. That start, then the other group, the UDP group, went on to attack Ahmad, to say that, look at Ahmad. He's the one going to make this party a fuller party. That's why now the Mandinkas are not coming out to support us. That's why we go to our people, they cannot support us. Because the party is seen as a fuller party. You see? They're one. Two, they turn around, the same people turn around to say that when they recommend people to be ministers, they advise Barrow that he need to bring their own people to be ministers. Barrow did not do that. What does the Banjulians bring for Barrow? How many Banjulians are ministers? You see, it went on. Then, you remember, Henry Gomez and Furmus, James Furmus ran. They too went and got some of their members and brought them as tribe. They too, they tried to justify their influence because they had that, what are these people bringing to you? Now they went and brought some of their tribe members to say that, yeah, all of our tribes are behind you. We all know it's a scam. And others went to get the Balantas, on the Mauritanians, and they started again to win the positions. Hell break loose. Everything became clear. Now Ahmad came out again. Listen to Ahmad properly. Go and find Ahmad Congress, so-called Congress speech. He said that we will make Barrow our candidate, but we are going to negotiate. What negotiate for? What? If you say you're going to make Barrow your candidate, what do you negotiate for? It's the position of his party. We hear, because Ahmad have a little, we hear the party like, or a team like PPP. We call them a team. You know, they didn't come to say that we negotiate. They just took their change from Barrow, and now they're having Tama and Sodos enjoying themselves. Nobody heard about them. Now they have their own impasse. You see, this was what went on. It did not end there. From there on, Ahmad have to disengage. And they started at, or what? The issue about the 200 million COVID money came out from Barrow camp. They wanted some of us to agitate that. No, we did something different. and let them deal with that and other things. What's going on in Parliament have nothing to do with them. That was in the process before. But now that's the thing. That's why you don't hear, you don't see Ahmad. And people that know Ahmad and how it operates. And let's see what's going to happen. Barrow will have to give in to Ahmad, or Ahmad would have to find something else to do. This is the issue going on there. But that's not the only issue. Now they have to try something else. This is where, again, they looked at. Now, everything they tried before to form the NPP or run the NPP, or whatever, after the lunch, it failed. Now, this is the influence of the APRC came in. When I say the APRC, I mean the former APRC members. I'm not going to touch about this nonsense APRC joining Barrow. No. I mean the prominence of Lamin Queen Jammeh or others started to be prominent. Musa Suso, Suku Singate started to come into play. That's why they had that meeting about the ex-members or ex-MPs, ex-governors coming together of APRC and this things nonsense, all that, trying to rebuild the ark. It never. That's where they went on. Now the infighting continued. What happened yesterday or the day before? Suku now, you know, when they went and met Barrow and the little money they got from there, that was a problem even. Now some people started disassociating. We are not part of Suku. Suku did not organize us. We have our own organization. Now the so-called ex-members of MPs and governors want to have their own camp in order for the resources to come directly to them so that they can manage. Each other can share. It's all about sharing to themselves. Suku wants to be the fixer here because Suku wants to get the bigger budget. And if he gets the bigger budget, you think Suku would take that budget to try to fight for an election? No, Suku would try to fight for Suku to be fixed and wait for next government to get in again. That's what they do. If for Gambians to elect a government, that would not allow that. Now, this is the problem. Now, up to a polling, and now they had to plan B. You know, the APRC thing with Yaya Jammeh and others failed. It failed. I am not saying the executive of the APRC. That's a different dynamics. That's not APRC. Those people have no influence or don't own the APRC. Own APRC is owned by Yaya Jammeh. You hear them say it. The members who tell you that. The executive is only them and their few friends and family they have within the system. And they are taking money and share it. They cannot bring the APRC on board. The only person to do that would be, and we know that it's not going to happen. We said that before, we gave reasons for that, let's leave it there. But that failed. This is, again, where I came out to talk about the other plan they have. And this plan was not new. As I said, when we come out with information, how we come out with information, when we come out with information, and what follows, we take control of that. I take control of that. That's my background, that's my experience. That's why it's effective. That's why I get things from where it should be and influence what should be. Let's just leave it to that. You all remember when Ahmad Bah started, because Ahmad Bah have benefited from the voter scam Yaya Jammeh had before in the Salom area. You see, because everybody thought voter fraud was about Casamance. No. It's different dynamics. I've talked about what all it was about. It started from Jawara days, when certain constituencies, PPP have to win, because they are marginal constituencies. These are considered they lost before or they can likely lose. Now, and in order to form government, you have to have more MPs. You don't take the risk. You might have more votes, but if you don't have more MPs, you lose. What happened to Hillary in America against Trump? This is the scenario we used to have in the Gambia. Now, they have to make sure, and that's how they voted for it. It was not much, but there. And all these constituencies, are still, all these constituencies still matters. And they take the pool, they mobilize from the same environment or backgrounds. It's only that Yaya Jammeh made it an industrial level, from a cottage to an industrial, probably few thousands to hundreds of thousands. Now, this is only way Barrot who can win an election, if we let him. Now, when they started this scam, and one thing, who started to talk about this? They went to the hardlands, and Ahmad Ba said, Gambians. He said Gambians, due to lack of land, have been going to Senegal and settled there to farm. And those people needed to come back to register, which is an absolute lie. People that come, some of us that have experience to live in rural communities, will tell you, Bondali Tenda, where I come from, there were certain homes that have permanent structures for surgas. The people that come from Kabada, Senegal side, and other side of these things. Fullers from Kabada and others. And they had the specialists of using the this thing. I forgot that, how it's called again. It's not the ngos. This was the one day, this, they are very, very quick at that. We have lots of them stay with us and others. You go to Cairn, the same thing. Go to Baribu, the same thing. The seasonal workers used to come to the Gambian territory. We know the history of why most of or other these things settled in the Gambia, because they used to come as migrant workers and stay. Be fishermen, be farmers, be other trades, they come in and stay and integrate. They regularize their stay. We live in peace and harmony. That's how Gambia was created, and that's how Gambia prospered, the diversity. But not what they want to do. Ahmad lied about that. We never had Gambians living in Senegal due to lack of land. It's a lie. We are misusing all the land we have, especially in the Congo, but we have enough land to farm, fertile land to farm. It's not true. It's rather the other way. And to be candid, in the First Republic, in fact, resources. I cannot say much for now. First Republic, I'll tell you, health post. The health post in Bondali Kanaf, in Bissari, I'm talking about my experience. Most of them, you go there on days of this thing, you have migrants coming from Senegal. Schools in Fonyi. Few schools in Fonyi, even few we had in Fonyi then. You have people coming from the other side of the border. I've never told. That's not a fact. But this was one of their plans. They looking at now, they cannot take up the infrastructure that the IMF have established. Now they have to kind to take part of that, or try to see how to undermine it and own it up. This is this. They cannot just own, being handed over to them. They've tried. We had other people talk about it, about they need to come back. You see, the good thing about these elections, if we understand, is because it's a 10 years. Every 10 years, all the old voter cards are absolute. They are not of any use. You have to re-register. Everybody has to re-register. Some of these people have used attestation before and obtained their voter cards. They have their old voter cards. Now, that's why Ahmad Ba and others were saying that if someone already had an old voter card, those people could automatically re-register. Because now we live in a democracy, we are going to challenge attestations. Now it's going to be difficult. We know about these things. But as I say, we don't come out all the time to talk about these things. What we try to use the stakeholders on the ground and talk to them and work together to avoid these problems. And we see how best we can deal with this. We stop that. They said that. Then when everything failed, they tried any form of negotiation with Yaya Jammeh. The external affairs minister flew over, do order, everything failed. They sent the Bissau president on orders, they all fell. They are desperate. That's why they went onto this so-called women's movement, mainly women's movement. That's why I said, I'm not even going to say some of these things, because we are still monitoring orders that they could not lift. They tried other things they could not lift in certain areas and regions. We monitored us, we cannot lift them. They cannot lift that. That's why we didn't agitate that. They organize these things in different areas, Guinea and others, and they went to work on it. And it was right for me to break it then, to bring it in open. For such obvious reasons, as I said, there was reason for that. But there were other things already behind the scenes. After a few days, about 2 days, I brought some of the evidence and put it out there. And some people trying to undermine that. The evidence was what? Yes, they are ordinary badge that people wear. You know, they go magal or groups travel, they use it to show their associations. They try that. They want to try that, to bring different people with different associations. Men and women. You see, we always abuse our women. They are easily mobilized. They are sociable. And to mobilize men too is there's a security dimension in that. You don't have a group of men together being moved one place or another. It always raises alarm. But women, it's always kind of tolerated or normalized. That's why they end up want to do that. We expose that. Now, when they met now, two things they tried to do. They regroup. Registration started, first day, second day. Now they regroup to try to strategize how to regain the momentum, because we disrupted everything. And some of it is to their own incompetence and their great corruption. They're fighting each other. One day came to say that, okay, let's bury the hatches. They're lying. That difference cannot be met. Because they all have the same habits, they all have grudges and this thing. They said, let's come together. Because you can see the executive they created was proof of their problems. Now they bear the hatch, they said they bear the hatchets. Now Suku and others now are prominent, thinking that they can organize these things. Yeah, we know where the dead bodies are buried. They mean, what I mean is, they know how to do things. We did it with Yaya Jammeh. It's a lie. One thing about Yaya Jammeh, he was strategic. He delegated tasks, and delegate tasks based on different reasons. I don't want to go into that. And information was shared, and based on need to know. That's why even in the commission, you can see the problem with putting this information together. Most of them is hearsay, because the people entrusted, most people interested with this will never come out, or they're already dead, or they're already out of jurisdiction. Now they said they're going to work this. They brought their mobility vehicles and everything, and the money is going to come out again. The money comes out, I'll tell you, again the same way. They spend it the same way again. The marabouts, the women, beautify themselves and do other things, build their houses. This is what they're going to do. They're not going to use those money to do anything. But the desperation, they regroup. Now we're going to work together, because if we fail, we all be ashamed because of we put barrel to this. This was what they discussed about. Yes, literally, not word to word, but the context of discussion was this. Because if we fail now, for them is UDP will win. But if we fail now, we will all suffer because of UDP will not accept us again. They say we have to do this, we have to, because most of them came out from the UDP. Now we have to do this. But how are we going to revive? Now they said they're going to put out statements, and they want to, and they said that they're going to stand their ground to make sure they get what they want. It's up to Gambians how they deal with this. But as I said, that's why the conversation is let political parties meet the inter-party meet to make sure we avoid these problems. The desperation. Now, what they're doing here is, they came out with a ridiculous excuse again. You know, they talk about farmers, Gambian farmers. Now they talk about Gambian women. You see, because I told you that they wanted to bring these women based on organizations. Now they're going to bring the women based on organizations because we blow it out. You see, that's the essence of doing things the way we do. We put something out for them to put their other move. We put something out to cancel that move they do and put them vulnerable. Now everything's collapsed. Now they try to go back to the drawing board, and now we're after them. Now they came out with this idea that there are lots of women that are married in Senegal. And he started with Casamas, but he said different borders. Lots of women. Again, people that understand Gambian social backgrounds. The intermarriage between communities across the border is not something that someone else mobilizes. Because of these border villages or towns, they're interrelated. That happened. But these people, you don't need to go with buses to get them in. They walk across. They travel for themselves. Who identified this? How many of them? And it's an intermarriage. These things, most of them don't even have time for politics. They bread and butter, dealing with their priorities to day to day. It has never been a fact, apart from voter fraud, that there's so much of a demand of Gambian women married outside, within the boundaries of the Gambia, all the boundaries around the Gambia. They're trying to justify this thing. How did they come about this? Why do they think that all those women living in those places are coming to these things? Why go and mobilize them and bring them? It should not be allowed. It's a lie. These people are not Gambians. There are not many Gambian women living in those areas. And if they do, they have their families in this. And what percentage would be supporting you for you to go and get them everywhere else? But again, it's in the Gambian hands. The stakeholders, Gambian citizens. The important about this, I said the desperation in Barrow. Desperation in Barrow. You see, I never wanted to go in details explaining. Because most of the things been talked about before. But when you start the thing, it's just, it goes. There's a risk present here. Because Barrow have failed. Now, Barrow is desperate. And he wants to win this election. What does that mean to them? Because for Barrow, if he loses this election, he's in trouble. His corruption and then everything have to be dealt with. But the people around Barrow too, they are in trouble. That's why some of them are looking at other things. People like Ahmad Ba, I've not spoken to him or anything, but knowing how Ahmad Ba operates, he is looking at other alternatives. And I can tell you today, most of these same technocrats are looking at other alternatives. They are talking to certain people now. Yes. That's what they do. They're opportunists. They jump. They will jump. And Barrow will be surprised that these people turn around to come to act as witnesses. Remember the present government, what do you call him? The present Secretary General. You remember he copied the minutes and he came to the commission and said, this is it. And other people, you think other people are not thinking the same way or doing the same thing? They're doing that. Most of this, I mean, not all, most of these technocrats are dodgy, are opportunists. They don't have what it takes to be called even a technocrat. It's just because of Yahya Jammeh broke the system, anybody can be anything. Now they are doing this in order to advance themselves, and they will abandon when they see another boat sailing by. That's what they do. Now Barrow and other politicians are in the dilemma. That's why you see the definite quietness from some quarters. Some of them have even left the jurisdiction of the country because they don't want to be held accountable. They don't want to talk about it. And they belong to political parties. Where are they? They were part of the coalition. I mean, people who were part of the coalition. I'm not talking about new political parties. Now you see them quiet, some of them starting to speak with their double tongue. Because now they're still looking at, they're sitting on the fence to see how these things going to break, and they will jump. But they know that when it breaks, it's not like to break towards Barrow, it's like to break onto something else. Now this is something else for Gambians to determine. It's still open. But this have, is posing a risk. A country that's nobody working together or anything working towards this, everybody is surviving. Survival mode, this is the same mindset we had in the dictatorship. Nobody trusts anybody. You talk to someone, you send a voice note, it's copied, it's taken to someone else, everybody looking for something. That's what they're doing every day. That's why no productivity. Everybody is looking for a scheme, a project, and they say all projects is all about taking this, because even created projects so that he can take. We had all these things. We had Mam Said Njai talking about how some of these things were done with the banks. This is the situation we have. This is the situation we have. Now it's a desperate situation. But as I said, we are sitting in taking top of ticking time bombs. But it's for us to make sure we do something to stop this. And again, guys, it's been a long one. I'm using my phone. I'm not comfortable using phone. I've not seen any of your comments and everything because probably my settings, because I have a problem with my laptop, which I have to look up later. That's what the discussion was about. Just to give you the situation analysis and the post I wrote, because some people say, oh, Lui, what is going on? Yes, we cannot just write about everything. We just have to put something up to get people think about it. And when we have time, we discuss it and so on. But this is the situation we're sitting at. My final note is here. This is the interest of every Gambian. This is not a party political interest. This is our sovereignty. If we allow, because this voter fraud goes in many ways. Voter fraud started from this registration. You see, give you an example in the United Kingdom, how things have changed in many ways. In a democratic way, you go to what we call the northern towns, the towns in the north, the Birminghams, Birmingham's in the Midlands, but you mean the Manchesters, the Bolton, the Liverpools and others. You see the concentration of ethnic minorities, mainly Asians, have made it possible for most of these places, local governments, to be represented by Asians. Because of, again, Africans or black people would rather sit on their hands, and Asians move. The mayors, the local government councillors, the MPs, and now you see their presence in our government in the United Kingdom. Look at the sensitive positions they hold. You see, politics is the opportunity you take, the priorities you take in it. Look at in London today, we have an ethnic minority as our mayor because of the composition of the environment. Because it's not a bad thing to happen, but it has to happen in the right way. It has to happen in the right way. We will evolve, but we have to follow the rule of law. We have to follow a due process. Because if we allow democracy to be undermined in a manner that people will bust in to vote, bust in to go, then these people will not be taking our concerns because we don't put them there. The people that put them there, they will always go for them and come and put them there. They make the difference. And it takes few thousand votes to make a difference. It makes few hundred votes to make a difference in Banjul for a mayor. It makes some thousand votes to mayor in this thing. Yes, the mayors don't have that much power, but they represented something. And imagine if we continue this thing, Gambia would be completely neutralized. Because remember, Gambia, we are not an island. We are within Senegal. And if we allow our open borders to influence who sits at the power, then the policies that governs us will be influenced by those people. then it's our interest as Gambians. You see, that's why the day when I came out, I was so furious, I was so angry. That's why I came with that, out for that 5 minute video. Because it's what our ancestors fought for. It's our sovereignty. It's what our leaders, the sacrifice for. And what Francis Small and others. Now we just take it and put it on a plate because we allow selfish people. And this is dangerous as well. It's going to breed xenophobia because of Gambians would, emotions would rise up. Nationalistic, nationalistic sentiments will rise. And Gambia is comprises of every other country around us. I mean around the west of Africa. Gambia is made of the river. And the source of the river is the Fouta Djallon Highlands. The Fouta Djallon Highlands is the source of the river Senegal, source of the river Bissau, and the other tributaries that went to Mali and others. You see, that's why you have the people that we have in our countries. We are all one people. But it's only that when it comes to sovereignty too, there's a sovereign interest. We have to control these things. It's a country that people come and live free. They don't need to do anything illegal, and there's a law, there's a constitution that allows them. If they want to become citizens, then we should not break that law. We should not break our constitution in order to empower individuals that are just there for their own selfish interests. It's not to create the greater good. My final note is for us Gambians to look at this and very sensitively. We have structures. People that belong in political party, your political party structure is your structure. People who don't belong in a political party, if you have access to people that Gambia we know, use that access to get that information for something to be done about it. We all know how to get things done if we want things done, especially us in the diaspora. We can use that. Yes, we'll come on social media, agitate certain things to a level, because it's important again to bring alert people, bring awareness and to engage. But we have to be very careful how we put things. We have to be very careful not to bring up raise the tensions. But that's why it's the stakeholders to responsibility to take up their mandate. Political parties need to step up to make sure these things are dealt with. We don't have strong institutions. Our security is completely compromised. It's not reformed. The IEC is, their incompetency we know. And we know that there's no reforms in the IEC to boost up their competency. We have seen where we are. The integrity of these elections is crucial in ensuring the security and stability of that country. Then, whatever differences we have, we want to live in a secure, peaceful environment. If we fail, hell will break loose. And there are other implications, security implications that I cannot go discuss. But people that understand know that we are in a very, we are in a crossroad and in a transition. If the temporal piece is not used to consolidate, to reform, and to build the foundations that will ensure the pillars and the roof is put into that house, it might lead to open conflict. There are a lot of fault lines present in our country due to the 22 years of dictatorship. But again, the recklessness, the incompetence and corruption of this present administration have in fact compounded those problems because of the lack of control, the importations of drugs and everything else, lack of any initiative to do anything, and the society getting even more polarized and so on. The fault lines are there, and any of those fault lines can be a catalyst to an open conflict. And with one thing we don't want. We are all interrelated. Gambia is that country that everyone is related to someone else. That's why I know that's why at times the foolishness can get to heights in very easily, but we should not allow that to happen. Thank you very much, guys, and catch you up another time. If we have anything to discuss, we'll come out. Jerry Jinjef, have a good afternoon.